Who am I, Kylie?
Who, how? What now?
Why a fox? Why not a horse or a beetle or a bald eagle? I'm saying this more as like existentialism, you know? Who am I? And how can a fox ever be happy without you'll forgive the expression, a chicken in its teeth?
I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds illegal.
Here, put this bandit hat on. Maybe you're a medium. Take it off for a minute. And don't wear it around the house. And so it begins.
Fantastic Mr. Fox is a movie that perfectly encapsulates existentialism, as we are put into the shoes of a self-centered fox who longs for the person he used to be and hates the person he currently is. Let me explain. Based on a book by Roald Dahl, Fantastic Mr. Fox is one of the movies that first comes to mind when thinking of Wes Anderson. A charming movie on the surface with a much deeper message. The movie begins by introducing Mr. and Mrs. Fox as they are in the process of stealing squabs, which are like chickens. I didn't even know that existed, but apparently it's an animal. Here we are greeted with a beautifully constructed long-form stop-motion scene that follows the two foxes as they try to avoid detection. It, however, concludes with Mr. Fox catching them both in a trap because he was curious about a lever.
No, it just falls straight right down. Whew.
Here is where Mrs. Fox breaks the news to Mr. Fox that she is pregnant and makes him promise to give up his life of crime and find a better job if they come out of this alive. We jump forward 2 years or 12 Fox years and we discover that Mr. Fox has become a writer for the Gazette. If you take a moment to pause the film here and read through the article that Mr. Fox wrote, you start to realize that he truly believes nobody is reading these articles. It is in this scene where we are presented with Mr. Fox's motivations for what will happen later on in the film.
I don't want to live in a hole anymore. It makes me feel poor.
We are poor, but we're happy.
Comme ci, comme ça. Anyway, the views are better above ground. Honey, I'm 7 non-Fox years old now. My father died at 7.5. I don't want to live in a hole anymore. And I'm going to do something about it.
This leads Mr. Fox to go searching for a home in a tree, where we see the first signs of Bogus, Buns, and Bean, 3 farmers so mean that the local kids wrote a song about them.
Local human children sing a kind of eerie little rhyme about them. Here, listen to this.
Buckets, Buns, and Bean, one fat, one short, one lean. These horrible groups are different in looks, but nonetheless equally mean.
Mr. Fox's attorney tries to convince him not to buy this house. It is in a very dangerous neighborhood, especially for a fox. This leads to a pretty funny argument where instead of saying curse words, they say cuss, the literal word cuss. So they'll say something like cuss you or are you cussing with me? Which I find pretty funny.
I understand what you're saying and your comments are valuable, but I'm going to ignore your advice.
The cuss you are.
The cuss am I? Are you cussing with me?
No, you cussing with me?
Don't cuss and point
You're
at me.
gonna cuss with somebody. You're not gonna cuss with me, you little cuss.
Me.
Along with the new house arrives a new character, Chris Christopherson, which will drive the side plot, but more about him in a little bit. Once the family finally moves in, we learn of Mr. Fox's true intentions for buying this specific house. His plan is to steal from all 3 farmers, Bogus, Buns, and Bean, as a way to have one last heist, one last hurrah to commemorate his good old days.
You know who could do this part easily is Christopherson. That kid's like a professional Olympic
Why
level.
don't we run that way? There's no obstacles.
Yeah, that's better.
So the first 2 heists go pretty well, with the exception of them climbing an electrocuted fence. But besides that, they break into each farm, they knock out the dogs with Lay's blueberries. However, with the increase of food that Mr. Fox has in his pantry now, his wife is becoming suspicious of what he's doing in the night. The third heist begins as Mr. Fox and Kylie are about to leave, and Ash tries to tag along, Mr. Fox's son. After shooing him away, Mr. Fox starts complaining about where does he get off trying to follow us, who does he think he is, and then seconds later, Chris Christopherson joins them, Ash's younger cousin, and apart from being welcomed and thanked for showing up, he's given his own bandit hat. This is a dynamic we see quite a bit throughout the film, Ash simply trying to be like his father, when he's viewed as different and less athletic, especially compared to Chris Christopherson. So the trio sneaks into Bean's cellar in order to steal his alcoholic cider. Here's where we're introduced to Rat, a once bandit like Mr. Fox, now turned security guard. But after a small scuffle and almost getting caught by the humans, the trio manages to escape with 3 bottles of alcoholic cider.
Oh my gosh. Is she blind?
I think she might have astigmatism, or possibly a cataract of some form. Anyway, her eyes don't see well.
This third heist, however, leads to Bogus, Bunce, and Bean having a meeting where they decide they're gonna kill the sneaky fox. After figuring out where he lives, they plan a little stakeout where they end up shooting off his tail. Bean picks it up and starts using it as a tie. After this, they decide to uproot the tree and dig him out, which causes Mr. Fox's family to have to dig for their lives. With the moment to breathe, Mrs. Fox loses her temper at Mr. Fox for putting them in this situation.
12 fox years ago, you made a promise to me while we were caged inside that fox trap that if we survived, you would never steal another chicken, turkey, goose, duck, or squab, whatever they are. And I believed you. Why? Why did you lie to me?
Because I'm a wild animal.
You are also a husband and a father.
Above the ground, Bogus, Bunce, and Bean decide that they're gonna get this fox no matter the cost. So they order 3 giant excavators and start digging up the hole. After this doesn't work, they decide to blow up the hole with TNT. Once that also does not work, they decide to grab all collective 108 members of each farm and position them as snipers, all to watch this hole. Underground, Mr. Fox runs into the other animals and they are pissed. They had to also evacuate because everything was being uprooted, so they are starving and they blame him. Mr. Fox, however, comes up with the plan where he is going to steal everything from these farmers. Since all of their workforce is watching the hole, they very easily dig up under each one of the farms and take everything. When Bean realizes this has happened, he becomes so mad that he just starts breaking shit. But after a few moments to calm down, his plan is to flush the animals out by grabbing the rest of his apple cider and just filling up the hole. Looking back underground, the animals are currently having this lavish feast where they're eating all the food they stole, drinking all the apple cider they stole. However, Ash decides that he is going to embark on a mission to rescue his dad's tail. He takes Chris Christopherson with him, which ends up in Chris getting captured. Seconds after Ash returns and finds out Chris has been captured, the apple cider floods the hole and washes everybody away. The animals are washed into a sewer, and here we get one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the film.
Maybe if I hand myself over and let them kill me, stuff me, and hang me over their mantelpiece.
You'll do no such thing.
Darling, maybe they'll let everyone else live.
Oh, why'd you have to get us into this, Foxy?
I promise you, if I had all this to do over again, I'd have never let you down. It was always more fun when we did it together anyway. I love you, Felicity.
I love you too. But I shouldn't have married you.
Mr. Fox finally starts to understand that this is all his fault. His selfishness has led everybody to this position. He decides to turn himself in order to have Chris Christopherson returned. However, on his way to surrender, he hears a scuffle. Turns out Rat has snuck down into the sewer and is now trying to steal Ash. After a pretty intense fight, Rat ends up getting electrocuted, and with his dying breath, he gives up Chris Christopherson's location.
The boy's locked in an apple crate on top of a gun locker in the attic of Bean Annex.
Would you have told me if I didn't kill you first?
Never.
With this location, Fox changes his plan, and now it becomes a rescue mission. After setting half the town on fire, Bogus, Bunce, and Bean on fire, stealing a motorbike, releasing a rabid dog, and jumping said motorbike over a fence, Chris Christopherson is returned, Mr. Fox's tail is returned, and all the animals are now safe. In the end, the animals find an entry into a supermarket, so now they have infinite food essentially, and no longer have to leave the sewer. However, Bogus, Bunce, and Bean end up sitting in front of the sewer entrance, just waiting for them to escape. I do recommend you watch this movie if you haven't seen it. There's a lot of things I skipped, and there's a lot more funny moments than I actually described. But I wanted to take a moment to talk about Mr. Fox's growth in the film. See, like Mr. Fox, I had a moment in my life where I didn't really like where I was, I didn't really like the person I was becoming, or where my life was heading. But unlike Mr. Fox, I didn't break into a bunch of barns, I ended up breaking into some books. But the expectation of making something of your life can sometimes be extremely overwhelming. Mr. Fox was so focused on being fantastic in everybody's eyes that he didn't realize he was harming everybody by doing the things he was doing until it was too late. He lied to his wife, demoralized his son, and ended up causing the entire animal community to be forced out of their homes into a sewer. Sometimes you can get so lost in the person you're trying to be that you don't take the moment to realize the person that you are and the strengths that you have. Just like Mr. Fox, Ash was so focused on becoming a person he wasn't that he didn't realize the strengths he had until the very end of the film. Because of his small stature, he was able to dodge a whole bunch of bullets and was able to open the door for the rabid beagle, which essentially led to their escape. Sometimes the pressure of becoming so fantastic, whether external or internal, can be so great that it starts to become suffocating. Everyone is different, and everybody has different strengths. So forcing yourself to try to be someone else is just going to end up hurting you in the end. You have to learn to appreciate the person that you are. If you, like Mr. Fox, get stuck in the past trying to be a person you used to be, you're only going to be hurting yourself and the people around you. Mr. Fox was so set on trying to be Mr. Fantastic like he used to be that he didn't learn to appreciate the people around him and the family he had right now. Once he realized he was about to lose everything is when it finally hit him. He's not the animal he used to be, wild, free, stealing chickens. He's a father now. He has more things to appreciate in life than just that. He stopped caring about being fantastic in everybody's eyes, and the only thing that mattered now was keeping his family safe. I think this growth is perfectly encapsulated in the wolf scene. After escaping with Chris Christopherson and Mr. Fox's tail, they stop at a random place in the middle of the road and see a wolf. After trying to communicate for a little bit and realizing he can't, Mr. Fox just raises his fist in the air and the wolf does the same. It seems like such an out-of-place clip until you start to think about what Mr. Fox was actually trying to do. He was trying to be more like an animal. He was trying to be a fox, when in reality he should have been trying to be a father, a family man, and this was a moment for him to accept the person he was and leave behind the person he used to be, exemplified in the wolf. If you enjoyed today's video, drop a like, and if you have any suggestions for books, movies, paintings, TV shows, whatever that you want me to talk about, go ahead and leave it down in the comment section. Otherwise, this has been Yuki. Thanks for watching.